Next up at UFC Vegas 46, we have the main event of the evening. We have Calvin Kattar versus Giga Chikadze. Calvin Kattar is 22-5 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off of that very one-sided loss to Max Holloway. Giga Chikadze is 14-2 overall, 5-0 in his last 5, riding a 3-fight stoppage streak. Calvin Kattar is a boxer and one of the best boxers in the UFC. He has power, but most of his KOs come from incredible timing. His hands are always exactly where they need to be, and he cuts angles better than almost everyone. I would love to talk about his stats, and I'll show them in a second, but the problem is Max Holloway destroyed his stats. I retweeted a stat earlier today, and today is Tuesday, that said something like Calvin Kattar outstruck his opponents like 3-2 or 2-1 or something like that in all of his fights, like his career. And then after the Max Holloway fight, he now has a wild negative striking differential. That's how much Max landed on him and how much Max screwed up Calvin's entire career worth of stats in one fight. In his wins, Calvin Kattar has outstruck every opponent and should have a very nice strike differential, but I mentioned Max touched him up so much that his 9-fight strike differential has fallen to a negative 8-5. 8-5. Because of Max, he has hit 8 times and only lands 5. He has 90% takedown defense and a 30% takedown accuracy, which he may need in this fight. Giga Chikadze is the future of the division. He's a phenomenal striker with a solid jab and fantastic kicks. He stopped Cub Swanson with a liver kick and then put the incredibly tough Edson Barbosa away with punches. He does an incredibly good job managing range. He uses his kicks to keep you out and then comes in with his hands. When you try to close the distance, he goes back to the kicks. He is not a high volume guy. He's landing less than 4 significant strikes per minute, but he does an amazing job keeping his opponent's volume low as well. So he'll slow down the entire pace of the fight to do what he needs to do. He has a loss on Contender Series where he was taken down 4 times and submitted, and that's the only time in his UFC tenure that he has even looked like a human being. And this is a really fun fight. My gut is saying that Giga will win because he manages range well, and he's amazing at slowing down his high-volume opponents. And Calvin is exactly that. He's a high-volume opponent. Calvin's wins come from bringing the pressure and absolutely touching you up. His losses are when he's pressured. Max overwhelmed him. Moicano did the same. Zabit did the same. But Giga's different. He's not a pressure guy, and that's what makes this so interesting. Calvin did the right thing after the Max loss. He took a bunch of time off. It's almost been a full year, and I would like to think he spent that time healing up, but also buttoning things up, working on his wrestling for a plan B. Giga's the real deal, and I love this matchup because we'll find out how good he actually is. I love Calvin in the underdog spot. If he comes forward, works past the kicks, and mixes in the occasional takedown attempt, I could see him throwing off Giga's timing, controlling the tempo of the fight. I have to go with Giga to win, but I'm liking Calvin, and I may grab a plus 5.5. We talk about the plus 3.5 bets where you buy 3.5 points. There's a 5-round fight. You can buy 5.5 points. And the math works out a little different. He has to win like 2.5. It's something crazy. My only fear is that Giga is going to stop him. That's my fear. But I think this is closer than what these odds say. I think it's a competitive fight, and we're going to find out a lot about Giga, but probably find out exactly how amazing he is. But Calvin Kattar is a very good fighter with very good hands. Jakey boy, you shook your head. You disagree. What do you think?
Yeah, I would be careful putting anything on Calvin Kattar in this fight. And poor Calvin Kattar, because he went from probably fighting the second best all-around striker in the division to probably the best striker in the division. I think a lot of people consider Giga one of the best, if not the best striker in this division. I kind of wish that they didn't book the Korean Zombie for that Volk fight, because I would have loved to see Giga put away Calvin Kattar, which I think he does, and then fight Volk for the title. I think that's a very, very interesting matchup. And we'll talk about the Volkanovski Korean Zombie fight later. But I think Giga dominates this fight. My only question to you is, how good is Massachusetts wrestling? I need to know how good Massachusetts high school wrestling is.
It actually is pretty good. So I'm from Connecticut wrestler. Massachusetts used to win New England's all the time. But Connecticut, we had some private clubs that did really well, and kids started wrestling earlier and earlier. And now Connecticut wins New England's for the most part. But Massachusetts wrestling is pretty good. It's not Jersey, it's not Pennsylvania, but it is pretty good.
Because Calvin Kattar placed 5th in states as a senior in Massachusetts for 160 division. I think for him to have a chance, I want to know how good that wrestling is, because he's got to control Giga for 5 rounds with wrestling, because I know Calvin thinks he's a good boxer, and he is a pretty good boxer, but we saw him get exposed against Max Holloway. Giga isn't quite as good pure boxer as Max Holloway, but he's a little bit more dynamic with his strikes. He definitely has more power than Max Holloway, so if he tries to get in any type of striking exchange with Giga, he's going to lose, and he's probably going to get knocked out. If he's able to get the wrestling and get the control, that's his opportunity there. So I can see why you're trying to chase that, that plus 5.5 with the, if he can kind of control and whatever. I think he comes out and tries to box. You saw he probably could have tried to do that against Max Holloway. There was some weird exchanges where he was diving a little bit because he was getting desperate. But I think he comes out. I think he was embarrassed versus Max Holloway. He says, you know what? Let me prove I can strike against what some people are calling the best striker in the division. I think he gets knocked out. I like Giga. I like him early, probably second or third round to get that finish versus Calvin.
Yeah, I don't. It's anything could happen in this fight. Anything could happen. That's why I don't necessarily have a bet on it yet. The odds are too wide to bet on Giga. Calvin Kattar could absolutely win this fight, but Giga's it's so tricky.
The only way I put Giga, because I don't really like the minus 235, but I put him in like a favorites parlay. So I like him to win, not straight up money line, but I threw him in a parlay to kind of capitalize on what I think he should do. So that's kind of how I'm playing him.
Yeah, and I mentioned it before. Calvin Kattar had issues with Max Holloway because Max Holloway is a very high volume person. So was Moicano. Zabit pushed the pressure. Max Holloway, Calvin Kattar has issues with people who push the pace and push pressure. That's not how Giga fights. Giga does not fight that way. He sort of waits.
I agree, but he's going to have issues with the countering and the precision. And that precision is going to catch him by surprise for sure, I think.
Listen, I have Giga winning, but this is not as cut and dry as most people think it is. Like, I think Giga wins, but would it be that shocking if Calvin Kattar just had the cleanest freaking boxing and just absolutely touched up Giga? That wouldn't be like the most shocking thing in the world. It wouldn't be like, oh my God.
It's pretty surprising.
It would be like,
people consider Giga the best striker in the division, I think. So
listen, I think he's one of the most effective because look who he's stopping and how he's stopping them. But the best, he's not the most technical. Calvin's a more technical striker. I think Giga's just very well timed and he's very effective. So anyway, Giga's the pick. So I'm not trying to, play both sides, but I do not think it's absurd.
Mbe mentioned the cardio too. I think I agree that the longer this fight goes, probably does favor Calvin. That's why I like that 2 or 3 range for Giga. If this does go 4th and 5th round, you could see Calvin having some success with his hands. So I definitely agree with that comment.
And that's why I think the plus 5.5 bet, it was minus money. So it's not like Calvin Kattar is plus 190. I can buy a few points and let him win a few rounds, and then I'll get plus 120. It was like minus 130. It's like I'm not spending Kattar. No minus money on Kattar in this matchup. So I don't know what to do with bets, but Monkey Knife Fight, I like more and more. I think it's a battle, man. I think we saw just how tough Calvin Kattar is. We saw how tough he is. So I think it's a battle. I think they go at it, and I think Calvin Kattar, can land some strikes. 83 might be a little high. But I think they go at it. I think we see 4 rounds at least. What do you think?
I disagree, but it's probably the safer play, if that makes sense.
So I like more and more Monkey Knife Fight. Guys, don't forget to grab your free $50. Go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of the betting partners on that screen. Make a deposit. Let me know, and I will send you $50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. It's literally that simple. And keep this conversation going on our Discord In the description, we have a link to Discord. It's 100% free. We do not hide anything behind a paywall. I'm not going to get you to pay us money and then give you some half-baked content or a spreadsheet. That's not how we do it here. We rely on donations and people working through our partners and supporting them. Jakey boy, any final thoughts before we shut this thing down?
No, it's good to be back. I appreciate everyone stopping by. Make sure you guys like the stream if you're watching. Let us know in the comments for each fight. And yeah, that's pretty much all from me.
Yeah, appreciate it. And join our Saturday pre-fight breakdown. We are going to do a full card parlay based off of your picks. Vote on Twitter, mention it in the live stream. We will build a parlay on the fly, and if it hits, the money goes to the members. We will literally divide it evenly to the members of our YouTube channel. And if you don't want to sign up to be a member on the YouTube channel, click the buy a coffee link and buy a beer link below, and you could be a member there, and you can qualify. Those payouts, 11 fight parlay, if that hits, payout's going to be in the thousands. It's that simple. Anyway, thanks for the watch. Thanks for the like. Thanks for everything, guys. And we'll see you on Saturday for our pre-fight live stream.